Two podcasters, our protagonist Walrus and his friend Teddy, are having a fun conversation about the internet kid who accidentally cut his leg off. After watching the video, Walrus arranges a trip to interview the kid, wondering if he still has the leg. Teddy feels bad for the kid, while Walrus is jealous because the kid's video received more views than his podcast. Later, Walrus arrives in Canada, and airport security advises him not to tell Canadians that he doesn't follow hockey. Upon reaching the kid's house, Walrus is disappointed to discover that the kid has killed himself. He informs Teddy about this and plans to find some quirky Canadian to talk to for his podcast, as he doesn't want to leave without anything. He goes to the bathroom and comes across a letter stuck on the wall, which talks about an old man named Howard. Howard has enjoyed a long and storied life at sea, traveled a peculiar path, and needs someone to live with him, as he has many stories to share. Walrus contacts Howard to let him know that he's not interested in living with him. He only wants to hear his adventures and drives to Howard's house at midnight. There, he is amazed by Howard's collection and is welcomed with warm tea. Walrus introduces himself to Howard as a podcaster and explains the concept since Howard is unfamiliar with it. Walrus is surprised to find out that Howard also knew Ernest Hemingway, an American novelist and journalist. They met on the waters of Normandy during a project called Operation Neptune. Curious about an item on the wall, Walrus asks Howard, who explains that it's a baculum, a bone found in the private parts of some placental mammals. Howard got it from a walrus he became acquainted with when he was lost at sea. In 1959, Howard and his crew ventured into Soviet waters to search for the Siberian great white shark. Their ship collided with an iceberg, leading to everyone's death except Howard's. Alone on a small island, Howard's life was saved by a walrus. He named it Mr. Tusk, after an authority figure he trusted in his life named Tuskegee. Meanwhile, Walrus becomes dizzy from too much tea and collapses. The day before Walrus leaves for Canada, his girlfriend Allison expresses her disapproval, especially regarding making fun of the kid on his podcast. She prefers his old self, calling him arrogant and proud now. Walrus responds that this new personality allows him to pay the bills and live as he wants. Allison asks to accompany him, but he refuses, fearing Teddy's reaction. Walrus comforts her, tells a joke, and they reconcile. Currently, Walrus regains consciousness, looking exhausted and curious about what happened. Howard explains that he was bitten by a poisonous spider, causing his ankle to swell to the size of an elephant's leg. Walrus freaks out upon realizing his leg is cut off. He asks to talk to the doctor, but Howard refuses, claiming the doctor forbids phone use. Upset, Walrus loses his appetite and motivation to eat. He realizes there was no spider, understanding that Howard is a psycho. He insults Howard, who reveals his plan to construct a realistic walrus suit and make Walrus wear it. Inside the suit, Walrus must communicate everything he does as a walrus, with no human voice. Terrified, Walrus drowns in fear, unable to do anything. Despite this, no one could hear Walrus's screams since Howard's house is in the middle of nowhere. As Walrus doesn't pick up Allison's phone call, she assumes he has cheated on her and tells her new man about how poorly she's been treated by him. In the past, Teddy urged Walrus to bring Allison with him, which made Walrus curious about why Teddy always defends her. Walrus told Teddy that he can't be himself if she were there. Teddy can't believe it when he finds out that Walrus cheated on his attractive girlfriend with some questionable individuals. Returning to the present, Walrus hears his phone ringing and realizes it's Allison calling. Since he missed her phone call, he sends her a voice message, claiming he's been abducted by a psycho named Howard in Manitoba and asks her for help. It's revealed that Allison's new guy is actually Teddy. He receives a phone call from Walrus as well but chooses to ignore it. Walrus sends a voice message to Teddy about his current situation, but suddenly Howard knocks him out from behind. Howard tells him that his life is over and if he wants to continue living, he'll have to live as a walrus. Allison later receives a voice message that Walrus sent her and panics, informing Teddy that he's in trouble. Meanwhile, Howard is performing surgery on Walrus. Hearing Walrus's phone ringing, he's glad that Walrus has someone who cares about him just as he felt when he was on the island with Mr. Tusk. He shares his sad orphan life story. When he was 10, his father was stabbed multiple times by a mugger's knife, and his mother's throat was slashed as if she were cattle. He was placed in an orphanage in Quebec. Eventually, the orphanage shut down, and he was sent to insane asylums where he endured beatings, torture, and rape. After a while, Howard finishes his surgery on Walrus. He amputates both his legs, removes his tongue, and sews his arms to his body. Allison contacts the police officer to inform him about Wallace's situation and arranges to find him using the car GPS he rented in Canada. As Wallace regains consciousness, he's shocked to find himself in a walrus form and unable to speak, only able to cry. While Allison and Teddy arrive in Canada, they search for Wallace everywhere, but no one has seen him. The officer informs them that he did some checking and discovered that there is no one named Howard anywhere in Manitoba. However, he assures them that he will do his best to find Wallace. Despite this, the officer knows a person who hunts serial killers, named Guy Lapointe, and he gives Allison Guy's phone number so they can work with him. Howard wants Wallace to become a true walrus, so he pulls him underwater to teach him how to swim. Wallace panics when he finds a dead human walrus, realizing that Howard did the same thing to it. Later, Allison and Teddy meet up with Guy, who tells them about his background. He spent 20 years as an inspector, and for the last 10 years, he has been hunting an animal masquerading as a man. He reveals that Howard has killed 23 people. The victims were found in the same state, with their legs cut off at the knees and their arms fused to their bodies. Despite this, Howard didn't engage in any sexual acts with them. Guy believes he encountered Howard 2 years ago while investigating the disappearance of a hockey player named Gregory Gumtree. He found Howard in an old cabin. Howard had no idea who Gumtree was and believed Guy had come to kill a spider for him since he had called the police a few days earlier. Guy refused, as it wasn't his job, and left without knowing Howard was a serial killer and Gumtree was actually in the cabin. He reveals that all the victims had holes in their mouths, and the medical examiner found tiny pieces of the victims' leg bones inside. Wallace mourns constantly over the loss of his humanity, and Howard feeds him raw fish. Wallace has no choice but to force himself to eat, and Howard is pleased to see that. As Guy arranges to go find Wallace, he asks Allison what Wallace likes to do while he's driving. Knowing that Wallace likes convenience store drinks, they go to the drink store that Wallace went to in order to gather information about him. They discover that when Wallace asked for Howard's address, he borrowed the cashier's pad to write it down. So, Guy takes that pad and lightly shades over it with a pencil to reveal the address. Howard teaches Wallace to swim, considering him as Mr. Tusk, and expresses that he misses their little paradise. Then, it is revealed that when Howard was trapped on the island with the walrus, one day he forced himself to eat it to survive until rescue arrived. Howard warns Wallace, whom he considers as Mr. Tusk, about the upcoming fight between them, since the last time Mr. Tusk wasn't prepared. Allison and Teddy later find Wallace's car submerged in the lake. Guy assures Allison and Teddy that Wallace is not in there, and he provides them with guns to confront Howard. Howard apologizes to Mr. Tusk, acknowledging that he had to kill him in order to survive. He has been searching for someone who can survive as a walrus for 15 years, but no one has succeeded except for Wallace. He gives Mr. Tusk a chance to fight him for revenge. As Howard and Wallace begin to fight, Allison hears Wallace's scream from a distance and rushes to his aid. The fight ends with Wallace stabbing Howard with his ivory, killing him instantly. Just before Howard runs out of breath, he is glad to have accomplished his goal. Allison and Teddy are shocked to see Wallace in that form and can't believe what he has become. 1 year later, Wallace is sent to an animal sanctuary, and Allison brings a fish for him. He hesitates to come out from his shelter, feeling ashamed of his appearance. As she offers him the treat, he emerges instantly to eat it, suggesting that he has truly become like a real walrus. Before leaving, Allison tells Wallace that she loves him, urging him never to forget that.